They're pretty hard to disentangle because one of the things about Debbie and Gil is anything that has to do with the word Jewish always is happening on a couple of different dimensions, you know, personal, family, and communal. I'm not sure that they ever take off one hat to put another one on.
Gil and Debbie are yin and yang. Debbie is the mother of us all. Gil is a troublemaker, a disturber of the peace. He asks questions, he demands results, but in all the best sense because he's a leader and he wants everybody to do their best on behalf of the community.
My parents have always worked very well together in a complementary fashion. My dad has always been involved in things on a macro level and my mom on a micro level. From our dad, I always learned that no one is too small for a big job, and from my mom, that no one is too big for a small task.
She doesn't like to be in the spotlight, so she likes to say that, you know, this is all about my dad, and my dad does amazing work in the community, but my mom is very much involved every step of the way.
She's definitely the woman behind the man, no pun intended there, supporting him and allowing him and encouraging him, because they're values that I think both of them hold just as strongly.
Well, the first person you got to call is Gil. So I talked him into coming to my office and sort of helping out. And that sort of led to him becoming president of Bethel Synagogue and putting in dramatic amounts of time.
He's been my role model. I saw the way he was president, the things he did, the way he reached out to people. He began this whole warm and welcoming just by his natural personality, and that became my motto at Bethel, was to embrace the warm and welcoming nature that really Gil brought up to a whole new level.
Gil has put an indelible stamp on this Bethel community. This building itself wouldn't have happened without him. He almost single-handedly raised the money for our capital campaign, and every detail of the physical space, from the hallways to the elevator to the ramps and the learning center, really was because of his love for this community and his efforts to make it shine.
They truly love the community, and you know, Gil's research about Jewish identity adds to his desire to, you know, to enrich our communities. When I first got involved with Gil, he was trying to convince me to come and to work at the Minneapolis Jewish Day School. He not only talked to me, but he brought me a small apple tree to plant in my backyard. And his idea was, just like the apple tree will bear fruit, my coming to the day school and making the day school, and the day school becoming a strong school, would bear fruit for the community. And it was an image I couldn't resist. It was what convinced me to come.
They're tremendous leaders, and they're leaders in a capacity where every community needs, I'll call it connective tissue. They need people who step up as connective tissue to bind us together, and Gil and Debbie, both separately and as a couple and as a family, do that.
In our pioneering years in Sharim, Debbie was very instrumental. She would accompany me to a lot of our presentations. A lot of times people would ask her, like, what are you doing here? Do you have a child with special needs? Is there someone with special needs in your family? And she would always say, no, the reason that I'm here is because this is the right thing to do.
I think what the community saw was how Gil would take my dad to the synagogue and take him to many events. And it's important to know that that wasn't always easy. And it was really done from a place of love and honor and respect, which my dad deserved. Gil, and I have to say Debbie, did it with such selflessness and such genuine love.
My parents also blessed us every Shabbat growing up. My dad would say the traditional blessing, and my mom always likes to make her own up, and it usually just involves her telling us something she's proud of.
I studied abroad in London when I was a junior in college, and
every single Shabbat, I would get a phone call from my parents giving me a blessing. Regardless of where we are on the planet, they make sure that that is something they do every single week.
My parents have instilled this notion of family within us that I think is important to any Jewish family. I intend to raise my family in a similar environment, and I hope that others can be inspired to do the same.
So the first time I heard about Dr. Goofball, I actually was very interested in the idea. Humor is such an important therapy for our veterans, and one which unfortunately they don't get to see very often. Many times when I hear one of my veterans say, "I'm not really into clowns, I don't think I need a visit," I will bet them $50 that they will laugh and they will smile. To this day, I haven't had to shell out any money.
You know, I think it is a great symbol of who he is in that he is trying to help people come together. What he does for the JCC, what he does for the Federation, what he does for this community is building community in broader macro sense, but when he does clowning, he's doing it on the most intimate, one-on-one microcosm, and man, that is powerful. But in both instances, he's building community in ways that give people a chance to be transformative.
Gil brought to the Federation this little sign, these two words, which means don't speak ill of others, don't talk about others. Let's hold ourselves accountable, let's hold ourselves up to the highest authority, let's do things the right way and make a difference in the world. And that's what Gil brought to us.
We were working on becoming a partner agency when Gil was president of the Federation. And it had been a particularly frustrating day in terms of pushing forward with the Sharim organization. And my husband called me one day just to ask me how things are going. And there he was in Israel, and I expressed my frustration. About 2 hours later, I get this call from Gil from Israel. And he says, "Chana, it's Gil." He said, "I want to tell you something. I heard about your frustration today." And he said 2 words to me, and I'll never forget this. He said to me, "Chana, Yeh Tov. It will be good."
If you walk into Gil and Debbie's kitchen, you see a collection of mezuzot encased in glass. Of course, on the mezuzah parchment, it's written, "You shall love your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might." I can't think of 2 people who love their community more than Deb and Gil, whether it's the synagogue, whether it's the Federation, whether it's just all of us. And we're so fortunate that they give their time and efforts to improve our community and make sure that we're the very best possible community.